Welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into a really fascinating paradox. Today, we're looking at how fraternal twins can share an entire life, literally from the womb all the way to the family dining table, and yet end up with completely different biological and academic trajectories. It's a topic that sits right at this amazing intersection of biology, education, and family dynamics.
You know, it's honestly mind-blowing when you think about it. How can two people, born at the exact same time, to the exact same parents, end up with entirely different abilities, favorite school subjects, and ways of processing the world? You might just assume that sharing a household and a birth date would naturally churn out carbon copy students. But as we're going to see, the hard science and the reality of how we actually learn tell a totally different story.
So here's how we're going to map this all out today. 1. Biological foundations. 2. Points of divergence. 3. Rethinking intelligence. 4. Educational pathways. And 5. Navigating a shared identity.
All right, Section 1, Biological Foundations.
To really get this baseline, we've got to look at the science. Fraternal twins develop from two completely separate eggs fertilized by two separate sperm. But that means is they share only about 50% of their genes. So despite that shared birthday, biologically speaking, they're no different than regular siblings. Each twin inherits a completely unique combination of DNA from their parents, and that naturally leads to different personalities, talents, and learning strengths literally from day one.
Moving right along to Section 2, Points of Divergence.
So why exactly might one twin develop a learning difference while the other is completely unaffected? Well, research points to three main culprits for this biological divergence. First, there's that genetic variation we just talked about. One twin just happens to inherit a gene the other doesn't. Second, spontaneous genetic changes early in development. And third, differing physical and environmental experiences. Let's zoom in on those last two for a second.
Now this part is super interesting. It's called a de novo mutation. Basically, this is a random, spontaneous change in the body's DNA instruction manual. And because it's completely spontaneous and not passed down from the parents, it can pop up during cell division in just one twin's embryo. It perfectly explains how one twin can develop a mutation that leads to a disability, while the other twin's DNA is just completely unaffected.
But hey, it doesn't just stop at genetics. Even after birth, the environment plays a massive role. Remember, even though they shared a womb, they are separate individuals. Things like a severe illness, an injury, or even a lack of oxygen can really impact how one twin develops physically and how they process information. And for sure, that can lead directly to different educational needs compared to the sibling who didn't go through that trauma.
Which brings us to Section 3, Rethinking Intelligence.
When biology throws a curveball that forces a divergence in how we learn, it really forces us to rethink what it actually means to be smart. The most crucial takeaway here is that intelligence is not just a single test score. It's incredibly multifaceted. It shows up in mathematical, linguistic, creative, and practical problem-solving forms. So a physical or learning disability might change how someone processes information, but it absolutely doesn't limit their overall intelligence or their worth. Having a disability just means you might lean into a totally different kind of intelligence.
Let's dive into Section 4, Educational Pathways.
Because of these completely different biological starting lines, schools really have to customize learning pathways, and we see this play out in the real world all the time. Twin A might take super practical, real-world subjects, think consumer studies, tourism, math literacy, focusing on life skills. Meanwhile, Twin B might go all in on numbers, with accounting and advanced math. These completely different paths don't mean one twin is smarter than the other, they're just two totally valid, customized routes to success that fit their unique brains.
This customization is also exactly why a student might decide to drop a subject. Like, shifting from life sciences to business studies isn't about giving up. Actually, scratch that, it's more like a highly strategic response. It's about finding a curriculum that genuinely matches your processing style and your energy levels. You're just aligning your educational environment with your biological reality.
But human dynamics are tricky, right? Imagine you make this great independent choice to take business studies, and then your twin suddenly copies you just to be in the same classroom. Why does that happen? Well, the sources point out it's usually because they really look up to you and trust your judgment. Or maybe they just want the closeness of sharing that experience. Or, honestly, picking subjects is scary, and following your lead just feels a whole lot safer.
So, if you end up in this shared class, how do you handle it while keeping your own identity? Well, first off, focus on your own strengths. Remember, you chose this path first because it fits you. You can also use their presence for a little healthy competition. But most importantly, set some gentle boundaries to make sure you're doing independent work. Just remember, even if you sit in the exact same row, your unique blend of skills and your independent mind literally cannot be copied.
And finally, Section 5, Navigating a Shared Identity.
How on earth do twins balance these completely separate academic lives with a shared family identity? Well, a lot of the time, that shared identity starts on day one with their names. Parents love to give fraternal twins similar, rhyming, or culturally linked names. Why? It's a fun family tradition to use the same starting letters to celebrate their shared birth story. Plus, it's about equal treatment. Giving names with the exact same length or rhythm makes sure neither twin feels less important, which reinforces that lifelong bond.
And this sets up this really beautiful duality that fraternal twins carry around forever. Your similar names connect you to the world as a pair. They tell this lovely story of togetherness. But underneath it all, your independent DNA makes you entirely distinct individuals. Ultimately, your names tell the world we're a pair, but your DNA gives you your very own independent strengths, interests, and paths in life. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. If profound differences in learning and intelligence are really just a natural, expected result of biology, isn't it time we stop expecting twins to be identical in their achievements and start fully celebrating their beautifully divergent paths? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep asking questions.